So here we have the little dragon mini book with a belly band, and we open it up, and inside every page has a pocket and every page has tags, and there's a secret tuck spot in the top of some of these pockets that you can put other tags in as well. This tag here is a folded tag, so you've got more space inside. I'll keep going through, and we've got all these lovely tags, and this ties in with my best-selling dragon junk journal kit on Etsy. So let's put it together. So these are the pages I'm using. I've printed the main book page out on 120 gram paper, which is about £80 paper if you're in the US, and it's reverse printed with this sheet here. This is the page with the tags on it. I've printed this out on 300 gram paper or £110 cover stock. Use the thickest that your printer will take if it won't go quite that heavy, and I've reverse printed it with the backing sheet. So I'll go ahead and I'll cut this sheet out, trim this page down, and I'll show you how we put it together. Here are all my bits cut out. I've trimmed down this piece of paper and I've cut out all of these things. Some of them I've rounded the corners off to give me a bit more variety. Some of them I've just rounded off two of the corners, and I quite like that shape there. This piece here is to fold in half to make a little folded tag. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll move all of these to one side and we'll get on and put the book together. Now for this I need a ruler and a sharp craft knife. So that paper facing us like that, so that this page is this way up, we are going to simply cut down these 3 panels here, fold up this section and fold up this section. So I'll go ahead and do this. I'm choosing to do this by eye rather than using a score line. I prefer to do it like this, and because we're using paper so that we're not left with too much bulk when the book is put together, that's not difficult to do. I'll turn it over and fold this page up as well, and just fold that. Turn it back around, check that these are our front and back covers, check that they are on the left, and then we're going to cut down these 3 sections, leaving this one intact. Make sure I line that up accurately. Well, that's as simple as that. Now we can go ahead and fold this in half, still with our covers on the left hand side. Fold this sheet over. So you want to keep these edges lined up. Sacrifice the even alignment slightly on this. This is going to be the hinge edge, and we're going to cover that up. So you want to be keeping these edges nice and flush as far as possible. There we go. So you fold that over, then fold this side over to meet it. Turn your book over and do the same this side the other way around, keeping these edges nicely lined up there. And so that's why it's better to do it by eye than it is to do it on a scoring board, because if your scoring board is if you're slightly off with your folds, it makes it a little tricky to do. And then quite simply fold that up, and there you have your little book. So we're going to go ahead now and glue these white pages together. If you want to, on the occasional page, and I've allowed a little bit of overlay here, you can make a secret pocket and just go round 3 edges. I'm not going to do that on every page, but just for the sake of the example, I'll do it on this page. Fold that page together, and then we have a funny thing, just follow the openings as you go, and it will make sense to you when you've got the thing in front of you, and you can see how the pages are opening. If you're in doubt, open these up. You can see which pages need to stick together. See, I've got that page there to stick together, and I'll make a little secret pocket out of that one. And because we're using this 120 gram paper, which is the £80 paper if you're in the US, the whole thing doesn't get too bulky when you've finished. And there we are. That's as simple as that is. This piece here is our spine. If yours is a little bit longer, a little bit too long, you can just trim that down ever so slightly. And I'll ink these edges just to get rid of this white bit of paper. Now I need a little bit of thickness here. So rather than fold it in half and then pop that on, I'm going to make a more natural fold. So I'll look to see that I've got it placed about half on. I'd rather have more at the back, I think, so that I'm not covering up too much of this dragon. I'll turn it over, make sure it's all nice and straight, and then I'm just going to kind of fold that around without making that hard crease there. And then you accommodate the thickness and you've got a nice rounded spine there. So I'll go ahead and glue that on, holding that down in place, and stick this side down as well. And that'll hold everything nicely in place. We'll give that a moment to dry, being mindful not to glue your pages together. So you can just let that grab and then just check that your pages are opening as they should. Wipe off any excess glue there, and we'll just let that dry. Now with a bone folder or your thumbnail, you can go and just burnish this spine a little bit. You'll see you'll have it slightly wider at the bottom, which is where you've got your pockets. That's normal, don't worry about that. And there you go, you've got a nice neat spine as a finish there. Now I should have inked these edges in before I folded my paper up, so I'm going to have to go and do that in hindsight, which is a little annoying, but it's not insurmountable. So we'll just lift those and put a little bit of ink there to cover up that white edge of paper. Now you'll see that we have some of these pages need gluing down at the edge. So we'll just go ahead and put a little seam of glue where it's needed. Whoops. On the folds here, you don't need to. And we've got another one here, and I've got a little bit of white paper showing there, but I'll cover that up with the ink that covers up a multitude of sins. Just open out your pages, check that you're not sticking your pages together as you go. Reaffirm that spine because we've just been messing with it. And this page here, because it's in the middle, is slightly overlapping the other. So what we can do is just take a ruler and with some firm pressure on the ruler, cut down just the tiniest bit off these pages to even that out. We don't have to. And just keep going until you get all the way through. Just a smidgen off there, just to tidy those edges up. And then with these, you can see the white edges of the paper here. We want to lose that with some ink and give that a nice vintagey look. I'll ink around the front cover quite nice and heavily, just because that's my personal preference. I like quite a lot of ink, like a vignette, a vintage vignette around these outside edges, but that's just personal preference. And then we have our little book ready to put in all our little bits and bobs that have been reverse printed with this backing sheet, and they can go pretty much anywhere. I'll start by, oh look, it's lovely. Start by filling these up. I'll put one in each, and you'll see that you've got quite a lot. There we are. So that's one tag in each one, and I've still got all of these left over, so I'm going to double up with a few of those. And let's remember that we have, in a couple of these pages, a secret little pocket at the top that we can also use. And I think I've got another one here. Like I say, you don't have to make these, you can just go ahead and glue all your pages shut. I quite like the look of that with things sticking out over the top. I want to pop him in there. Let's pop him in here. And finally our last one in there. And there we have our little book. The last thing to do is make the belly band. And to do that, we're simply going to get this the right way up. Place the dragon image in the middle. You can have it off center if you want. Turn your piece over. Give ourselves quite a loose wrap. We want to be able to get it on and off easily. Like that. And glue that together. You can trim a little bit of it off if you want to. Just check before we glue that that's a nice fit, which it is. I know that I'm gluing to here, so I'll go ahead and glue that down. And there it is, our little mini book complete, with all its little tags inside.